All right, so welcome again. My name is Lauren Wilson. I'm the Associate Director for Student Development. And today we're going to be focusing on just kind of the basics of being an officer and tips for new student leaders. So today we're going to briefly talk about the overview of the different roles in student organizations, different resources that are available for you through the Office of Student Development, some quick tips on managing your organization on OspreyHub, creating events in OspreyHub, some basics for OspreyHub finance, and then of course the Q&A, because we want to make sure that we're answering your questions and setting you up for success this semester. So different roles within a student organization. These are things that are pretty basic, but we want to go over because if this is your first experience as a student leader in an organization, you might really be starting from scratch. So most organizations have the 4 primary e-board positions, executive board positions, which are president, vice president, secretary, and treasurer. Your constitution, which is located in OspreyHub, should give you a good indication of what each of these positions do. President is typically the, I guess, the ultimate decision maker, the person who runs meetings, the person who is ultimately responsible for keeping the club moving forward. The vice president assists with those decisions. The president and vice president, or I know in some organizations, it's like a co-director or co-presidents, they're the ones who really lead the organization. A secretary is somebody who will help to prepare a staff meeting agenda, a club meeting agenda, and keep minutes, keep track of the, kind of keep tabs on their members and make sure that all of like the documents are organized in OspreyHub. Every organization can kind of interpret some of these things a little bit differently. Secretary is also sometimes in charge of doing the marketing for the organization, especially if you don't have a separate PR or marketing chair. And then the treasurer is in charge of basically all things financial related. So they're the ones who will have access to OspreyHub Finance if you're a budgeted organization, and can submit purchase requests, funding requests, really keep track to make sure that you're not overspending or do a mid-year check to say, hey, we still have a good chunk of our budget left. How are we going to move forward with this in the spring semester? Many organizations have other executive board positions as well. Some of those are written into a constitution, so you might have, your recruitment chair or your PR chair or your special events chair. Some of those things might be written into your constitution, but from year to year, your club may have a different need. So this year, maybe you have a virtual program coordinator who helps to find some new ways to do things in the virtual world. Every club also has a student development advisor and a faculty or staff advisor. So your student development advisor is automatically assigned to you when you become an organization, or occasionally we kind of shuffle those around throughout the year or from year to year. So all of your student development advisors are on this call right now. If you don't know who your advisor is, you can email any one of us and we can let you know. So especially if you're a new organization, you have no idea kind of who to start and contact with, you can email me or Jeff, maybe Jeff, if you can throw our emails in the chat, and one of us can direct you and let you know who your advisor is. Or you can stop by our office at any point, which is on the 2nd floor of the campus center, and we can let you know who that person is.
Yep, I'll take care of that.
Perfect. Your faculty staff advisor is somebody who your club selects. And again, that can also change from year to year depending on your club's needs and who is available to best support your organization. The student development advisor is sort of the expert in the logistics for event planning and helping you with your budget and kind of keep making sure that all of the rules are followed and in place. The person who is your faculty or staff advisor is usually more of an expert in your specific area. So while Joe might be the advisor for the math club, that might not be his specialty. I'm the advisor for the equestrian club, and I'm a little terrified of horses, I'll admit. But I do love working with them and making sure that I can help their events be successful. Any questions about just the overall structure of the organization? If so, put it in the chat. I'll keep moving on, but if there's a comment that comes up or a question, I know that Jeff is keeping his eye on that. Okay, so resources that are available for you. So many times clubs will reach out to us and ask us about how things work, or how do you elect, how do we run elections, when do we run elections? A lot of that information is easily found in your club constitution. Your club constitution is located on OspreyHub. If you haven't really kind of like really dug into your OspreyHub page and looked around at all the different things in there, I really encourage you to do it, because there's a lot of documents and notes from previous years that you might not even know are kind of hidden in there. But your club constitution, the most updated one, is in there. We do ask for you to attach your club constitution as part of the organization registration process. So there may be a few different ones that are in there. Just go with the most recent one. We're going to keep all of those there, so that this way, if you ever wanted to look back and see like, hey, what changed from this version to this version, you can always go back and kind of see your history of your club constitutions. OspreyHub campus links. So we try to make things easy for you. And when you log into OspreyHub, in the bottom right-hand corner of the home screen, there's a spot that says campus links. And from there, you can easily go and access the room reservation process through event services. You can access the TV LED advertisement form, which is also run through event services. Campus center ticketing, I believe, is on there. All of the quick links that will make your life easier when you run an organization are on there. There is a link on there too to our student development standards of practice. This is basically all of our policies and procedures and all of the fine details, the fine print for running an organization. So if you're wondering, can I spend my money on this type of a thing? How do I do X, Y, and Z? You can check that website too. It's a long read, but it's helpful just to browse through it, just to see what's there, so that you know you can go back and reference it if for some reason you need to. We have a student development YouTube channel, which we just started last semester. And that is basically where we dump all of our training sessions, all of our leadership trainings. So this way, if there's somebody who isn't able to make it here in person today, here with us live today, you will be able to go and watch this afterwards and get all the information that you need, especially if you weren't able to join us. So if this is your first time attending an officer training session this year, definitely go to our YouTube channel. Again, the link is in the OspreyHub campus link section. And Jeff, if you want to dump the link to our YouTube channel in the chat, maybe that would be helpful. But you can learn a lot of different things that way. We did a summer training series, we did a full officer training, and now we're doing this one to kick off the spring semester. When we're alive and in person and everything, the world is normal again, our resource room is up on the second floor of the campus center, and it's a great spot to go to. It still is open, you know, even now. It's just that there are some days where we might not have anybody staffed over there, but we have you know, computers that you can use. We have a copier, we have colored paper, you know, banner paper if you're looking to make a big poster for one of your events. We also have other equipment that you can rent through student development. We have a sound system. We have iPads to help swipe IDs to manage your attendance at events. Lots of other things. So definitely reach out when you're planning things, reach out to your student development advisor, and we can kind of help direct you to how to get those different things.
The YouTube channel link is up. Please like and subscribe.
Yes, like and sub. All right. All right, so these are some of the other officer training sessions that are happening this week. I'm sure that you're all here because you have received my emails. Oops, somebody not on mute. There we go. Sorry about that. So I would definitely encourage you to you know, talk with your other officers and make sure that you pop into some of our training sessions this week. We tried to offer different sessions than we did in the fall, just so that this way you can always go back and watch our fall sessions. And then we're going to kind of offer some new tips and tricks for the spring semester. Tomorrow we have a student leader roundtable, which is really just an open conversation. So if you have any questions at all about running your organization, or just need to kind of brainstorm some virtual programming ideas or ways to do things that you normally would have done in person, definitely hop on and just, you can come for 5 minutes. You can hop on at 12:30 if you want, but we will all be on there from 12 to 1 tomorrow for anybody who has questions. All right, so I do want to get into OspreyHub a little bit. I know that some of you may have more experience than others. So if, as I'm going through, you have questions about things, please don't hesitate to just unmute your mic and ask, or you can put your question in the chat and we can address that. Okay, so wanted to give you some tips for managing your organization on OspreyHub. When you log in, you will get to the Manage feature by going up to the top right-hand corner and hitting Manage. You won't have the admin option. It should just be Explore and Manage. All right, and this will take you to the Action Center, which is where organization leaders can kind of manage content for all the different organizations that you're a part of. Once you're there and you click the organization that you are an eBoard member on, you can click on the hamburger menu, which is the 3 lines up in the top left corner, and all these different options appear. Like I said, take a few minutes just to kind of look through all of the different options that are listed there, because each one might have things that you never knew existed. All right, I'm going to highlight just a few of those pieces, but please go back and look through everything, or you can watch the OspreyHub 101 training session from the fall semester, and I really go into a lot of depth as to what is located in each of those sections. So when you're managing your roster, you'll come to this page. You can click Invite People and invite people to join your organization using their Stockton email address. Down here where it has the pending and prospective members, pending shows all the members who you invited to join your organization but might not have accepted yet. Prospective members are the ones who maybe they stumbled upon your organization during orientation. Maybe they found you during the Get Involved Fair. Maybe they found you just because their professor mentioned that, hey, you should join the psychology club, you should join Water Watch, and they're going to your page and clicking the Join Organization button. So it's always helpful to kind of look through there and make sure that there's nobody that you missed. If there's somebody who wants to join your organization, it's always helpful to reach out to them too, and instead of just clicking accept, to let them know, like, hey, welcome to Water Watch. This is our meeting schedule. This is our next event that we have planned. Here's how you can get involved. One of the common questions that we have is, I'm a treasurer and I don't have access to the finance piece, or I'm a president or vice president, I don't have access to adding events. So one way to fix that is by adjusting the access levels for each position. So when you are in the roster function, click on Manage Positions, and you can set your access level. So you can see for treasurer, you want to make sure that they have all access. This way they can access the finance piece as well. There is a way to do limited access so that you can give some of your members some access, but maybe not have access to everything. So if you click limited access, you could literally go through and click, okay, events, yes, they should have access to that. Posting a news article, yes. Managing the photo gallery, yes. But maybe you don't want them in charge of elections. So you can really go through and customize what each position type has access to, and then make sure that you are assigning the eBoard position to the correct person. So if Alexandra Long is the treasurer, then make sure that instead of just having member clicks, that you're also editing her position and clicking the treasurer position or whatever position they should have access to. Hopefully that all makes sense. Are there any questions about that part? All right, I'll keep going.
Lauren, I just want to really quickly mention,
Sure.
if for some reason you have no access, you're not listed as an officer and whoever the list is an officer is gone, just contact your student advisor and we can fix that for you.
Absolutely, good point. All right, so news articles are something that all clubs have access to creating. It's something that appears on the main screen for everybody to see as long as you have it set up that way. So it's a great way to advertise upcoming events, recruit new members, talk about your club accomplishments. There's so many different ways to utilize that. And I've included some ways that groups have used this over here. So again, highlighting events, talking about how much money they've raised for something. Or you could do like a member of the week or member of the month and highlight what that person has done. When you go to create the news articles, there's a way to adjust the privacy settings. So you can have it show up to all students and staff on OspreyHub. You can have it show to the public. So even if somebody is logging in, or I'm sorry, coming into OspreyHub and doesn't have a login, maybe a prospective student can even see all of the great things that you're doing. Once you create the news article, it will have a specific URL. So you can, if you make it public, you can also copy and paste that link into your social media pages and just do a quick little headline and direct people to your news article where they can read the rest of your story. There's a document section, which is really helpful, especially for all of our new members, new eBoard members, to look at and kind of see what's already there. OspreyHub is a great tool for helping to transition your organization from year to year, and Jeff is actually presenting on that on Thursday at 4:30. But there's a way to really stay organized with OspreyHub and make sure that all of the documents that your next president and your next vice president, and your next treasurer will need to know. So save those in your document section on OspreyHub. A lot of people will put their meeting minutes. If you're planning a large scale event, I know like the Asian Student Alliance every year has done the Phoenix Night Market event. Some of their planning documents could go in here if you want to keep track of other organizations you've collaborated with or vendors that you've invited to campus to assist. This is a great way to have all of that contact information stored in one spot. You can adjust, again, the privacy settings and permissions so that only members of your organization have access to it. Maybe only the treasurer should have access to certain things, or you can make it available to anyone on campus. So I believe that like the Constitution for each club is open to anybody on campus to view. Elections. I'm not going to go through all the specifics on how to create an election, but this is a great feature to explore when you are trying to elect your new eBoard for next year. Especially now, in the past, everybody would normally vote in person at a meeting, and that's obviously not the case for this year with everything being virtual. OspreyHub has a great feature where you can create the election. You can have it open for a certain amount of time. You can add pictures. You can add information on each candidate. I go into a lot more detail on how to set up elections in the OspreyHub 101 video, which is on YouTube. So if you kind of go in and explore and you can't quite figure it out, you can go there or email me. I can tell you exactly what part of the video to kind of tune into so you don't have to watch the full session. And maybe we'll actually do a specific training on how to set up elections in OspreyHub. Maybe we can do that later in the semester, when it's election season. All right. So I do want to highlight kind of creating events in OspreyHub and just kind of how to create events in general. So one of the things I was talking with Jeff earlier today, actually, that we have just kind of not even talked about this semester is how to reserve space on campus. That's mostly because we're not doing a whole lot physically on campus, but we're basically following the state guidance when it comes to COVID restrictions and in-person event guidelines and things like that. And so as the state adjusts their regulations, we will adjust ours. So it is possible that later on in the spring semester, we may be able to have more events with more than 10 people, or we can do outdoor events with up to a certain number of people. So in order to reserve space on campus, that all goes through 25 Live, which is part of event services. If you go to stockton.edu/calendar, you can kind of access 25 Live through there, or there's the link right down here that will allow you access to the Blackboard training for student clubs and organizations. Basically, they have their whole training on how to reserve space on campus. So you can go through that. And then once you go through that training, they'll send us the names of every person who's completed the training. We'll make sure that you're actually a member of an organization, and then you will have permission to go onto 25 Live and reserve your space. But for now, most of our events are done in the virtual world. And so OspreyHub is a great place to still put those events so that you can help to advertise those to the Stockton community. So you would go again over here to this hamburger menu, go down to events, and this will show up. You can do a filter to show all of your events, all of your current events, all of your past events. So if you did a great event last year and you're like, I just want to copy paste that description for that event because we're doing the same thing right now. You can go back in and pull the details from a prior event, pull the images that you used in a prior event, and go ahead and use that for your new one. So you'll go ahead and click the Create Event button on the top right-hand corner. And start filling in the details for your event. Campus Labs, which is the company that powers OspreyHub, was very quick to adapt to the COVID era and add in an online location. So this is where you can put your Zoom link, your Google Meets. I know that esports uses Discord, for a lot of their things. And so if there's specific instructions that you need to include, if there's a password for your Zoom meeting, go ahead and put that in the additional instructions. But for the most part, this is pretty self-explanatory and a great feature that they were able to add in. Event visibility. So this is important to keep in mind. Most of the events that we do should be available to students and staff at OspreyHub, so that this way you basically need a Stockton login in order to see the event. You can make it public. I know that there's some organizations that collaborate with similar organizations at other schools, and they want people from Rowan to be able to join in. They want people from TCNJ to be able to join some of their meetings. So you can make it if you make it public, then the Zoom link is accessible to people who are not at Stockton. Again, we want to be careful with that because we don't want anybody coming in and Zoom bombing your event and being disruptive. If you are hosting just a club meeting, please just click organization members so that this way it only shows in the feed of people who are members of your organization. We don't want to get in the habit of essentially flooding the upcoming events feed with club meetings. We really want that to be events that are open to any student. If you're doing like a kickoff meeting or a welcome back meeting or something that you really want to push to everybody, you can go ahead and keep it as students and staff at OspreyHub for that first meeting. But when we're just getting into, your weekly photography club meetings, please click organization members so that this way it shows up only for your club members. There are some RSVP settings on here, which I feel like Stockton hasn't really fully embraced yet. I feel like RSVPing for that for something on OspreyHub is probably just as credible as RSVPing to a Facebook event where you might get thousands of people who RSVP and 20 people show up, or you might have 10 people RSVP that they're coming and 30 show up. So you can use that if you want to, but it's not something that you're required to do. You'll also have the option of adding in a photo that will be connected with your event listing in OspreyHub. My big tips for that are just to keep it simple. This is not an event flyer. So like if you are looking to advertise your event and have it posted on the kiosks across campus and advertise in residence life, you need to have the title, the date, the location, the time, all of that information. But for OspreyHub, you literally have all that information as part of your event page. So keep this simple so that this way it's clean, it's visually appealing, and none of your information gets lost. Okay, so for the virtual involvement fair, kept it simple. If you make your images in a PowerPoint slide, that usually transfers pretty much to be like the same size as what's needed in OspreyHub. I would leave a little bit of a border though around the side and keep your information kind of, tight towards the center so that this way, when you go to kind of crop it down, it doesn't cut off any important information. So here's some examples of what it would look like. Again, keep it simple, keep it visual. You don't even have to have the title for your event if you don't want to, because it's going to be listed right below the image. So if you just want to look on like a stock photo website and just put a mug of coffee if you're doing some kind of, coffee and conversation program. You can just put a very simple image rather than putting all of your details in one spot. There is going to be another field that asks for additional event information. Basically, click the boxes that are relevant. And when you go to the next box, there's going to be a page with just a few questions for each of these boxes. I'm not going to go through all of that because it's pretty self-explanatory, but if you have questions, please feel free to reach out to your student development advisor. All right, so once you do that, you have your page. One of the new features that, again, was just put in last year is that every event has a URL associated with it that basically will track attendance. So I'm going to grab the URL for this event, and I'm going to put this in the chat. And as soon as you click it, it will capture your attendance. Oops. Where are we at here? So this is a great way because obviously, in person we would normally we would swipe your IDs to capture attendance, and then we could load it back into OspreyHub. But now you can just send that link and put it in the chat for your meeting. And as soon as you go back onto Osprey Advantage, you should have this session listed as something that you've attended. So it's a really quick, instant way to track attendance at your events. This is also helpful to use, even if it's not an Osprey Advantage event. So let's just say that you're doing your first meeting. It's helpful to keep track of who attended. When you click track attendance, you can also export the list of everyone who attended your event. And so that's a great way to follow up. Oh, thank you so much for coming to, our spring kickoff meeting. We're so happy that you're interested in joining Water Watch, and we want you to invite you to the next meeting. So it's a really good way to see who is engaging with your activities and use that as a way to promote your next event. So if you, if you had a lot of success with the first event that you did for the semester, your first virtual event, when you are going to plan your next event, you can basically utilize that the attendance from your first event and then go and hit this invitations and RSVPs and specifically invite that same crew to come to your next event. I was able to do that for most of our officer positions, so you probably all received lots of emails from me in the last few weeks inviting you to all of these sessions. So again, it's just another tool to use to promote your events and hopefully drum up a little bit of excitement for the things that you're doing. The other thing is that once you have people who are clicking and saying that they have attended your event, you can set up, when you're creating your event, you can put some assessment questions, some feedback that participants can give to you to let you know how the event was. So you can see that for this event, I know it's only 3 people, but it's a 5-star rating and I'll embrace that. But there are ways that you can ask specific questions, please let us know, like, how was the registration process? Did the event meet your goals? Are there ways that you could recommend to improve this event? Do you have ideas for future speakers, future activities that you want to do? You can use this feature in a lot of different ways. All right. I'm going to quickly talk about OspreyHub Finance, and then I think after that, I'm going to open it up to some questions from all of you. So most organizations, I don't want to say every, most organizations have 2 different budget types. So your club budget is the budget that is allocated by Student Senate. It comes from the student activity fees, and it's available through the end of May for you to use. You have to reapply for your annual budget every year. And so Senate usually runs that process end of February, mid-March, somewhere in that time frame. You'll see a form come out on OspreyHub inviting you to apply for next year's club budget. Your revenue funds is basically all the money that you fundraised over the course of the year. And that money will roll over from year to year. So club budget, is really for that specific academic year. I usually get it at some point by August 1st, I would say, and have through the end of May to utilize it. Revenue, whatever you don't use, gets carried over to the next year. All right, so if you have access to the finance part of OspreyHub, you should be able to, again, click on that hamburger menu, go all the way down to finance. When you're there, you can click the accounts button, and this is where you can see how much money you have available in each of your accounts. All right, so there's two different types of requests that you can make through OspreyHub. A purchase request is basically when you are requesting to use the money that is in your club account. A funding request is when you're asking Student Senate for additional funds to cover, maybe it's a major program that you're doing. In normal years, if you're going to a conference or planning an event, and maybe you need some extra funding for transportation or the hotel costs, that's usually what the funding request would be for. But even for the smaller clubs, if you need extra money, I know that Senate still has a good chunk of funding available for clubs to do events. So please don't hesitate to reach out to your student development advisor, and we can help you through that process of how to request funding through Student Senate. So to start either one of those requests, you go up to create new request, and then most of the time you're going to be clicking create purchase request. From there, again, a lot of these things are self-explanatory in terms of the information that we need in order to make that purchase go through. The payee information is the person or the vendor receiving payment. So Chartwell's, Amazon. If you're bringing a guest speaker, it would be their name. So many times we see student leaders put their own information in here, but it should be the person who is being paid. There are a whole lot of different categories to select from, and there's going to be a lot of times when you want to select like 2 or 3 different categories. You can only select one, so just pick the one that makes the most sense. And if for some reason Melissa or your student development advisor feel the need to adjust that, we can do that on the back end. But just try to select the category, like I said, that makes the most sense. This purchase will be completed by if you are going shopping to, Michael's and Party City to get decorations or craft supplies for one of your events, you would hit credit card because you're taking that to a real store. If you're ordering supplies through Amazon, Oriental Trading, any web-based store, it would be the online transaction. Whenever we have a guest speaker coming in or any kind of contracted service, so again, in a typical year, if you have an inflatable, a rock wall, a DJ, those types of services would need to be paid by check. And then if you are using the print shop or Chartwell's, something that is an internal service, that's when you would select that last box. We do need documentation or some kind of backup for all of these expenses. And so if you're, taking the credit card to a store, you can just estimate, we're spending $150 on craft supplies for this program. We don't need the itemized amount, but we do need to know, okay, you're going to be purchasing canvases and paints and paintbrushes for your art night. If you are ordering things from an online store, basically add everything to your shopping cart and then take a screenshot of that shopping cart and upload that. So this way we know exactly what the product is that you're looking to order, how many, what the price is, and we have all that information right there. If you are having a guest speaker come in, ask them for their W-9, and then you would upload that over here. We basically need to get any new speaker or new vendor into our system as a registered vendor before we can actually process the payment. So that's really important to make sure that they would get paid in a timely manner. On the finance tab, you can sort of see all of the history of your purchase request that you've submitted. So if you're ever wondering kind of where that's at in the process, you can go through and really see the itemized list of how your money has been spent. Or if you're wondering, how did last year's board spend their money? How much was that program that we had last January, you can go in and again see the prior years of purchase requests, and how your club spent their money in the past. I guess it was over the summer, Stockton worked out different contracts with some vendors for apparel and promotional items, which basically means that we would need to reach out to these vendors first, and utilize them if they have the product that you are interested in, um, before we go and utilize somebody else. So if it's something very specific, I know I've worked with Save in the past, and they've had special like eco-friendly vendors that they worked with. If Ace Screen Printing, which is the company behind the T-shirt Doctor, if they don't have access to some of those special products, you certainly can use another vendor. But we want you to check these out first because they are set up to give us the best pricing. All right, so I feel like I just flew through a lot. I'm going to, well, I will get to questions. I think the last few slides, get involved fair. If your organization has not yet signed up for it, please make sure that you do. It's very easy. All you do is go to the Manage Organization tab on your page. And then the first thing that pops up should have an option to sign up for each day. You do have to sign up for the second and the third separately. When you go to sign up, it'll ask you for a brief description of your organization and then a Zoom link, which would be available if you're able to do a live chat with prospective members during the fair, which we really encourage everybody to have that set up. So you would just drop the Zoom link in there and then you're registered. There's no deadline for when to register. If you are a procrastinator and you'd rather wait until February 2nd at 3:30, you can still sign up and register. I wouldn't recommend that, but if that's your style, we can embrace it this year because in the virtual world, it's very easy to sign up. And then, like I said, we definitely want to make sure that you stop by and attend some of our other officer training sessions. So I'm going to stop sharing and really just kind of get a sense of what questions you all have. You know, and if there's things like maybe you thought the session was going to be different, maybe you had a different question in mind. Let us know. We're all here to help you.
Yep, just unmic and ask, or if you want to, put it in the chat because I'm monitoring the chat.
And I'll actually go ahead and stop recording. This way, maybe people are